Hi there everyone, GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes, and we have the trailer pulled up for the next legendary hero to drop into the game in just a few short days. So, haven't seen the thumbnail, haven't seen the title that's up there on the screen, I'm not looking, I'm looking away right now. So let's go ahead and hit play on this thing and experience it together for the first time. Wait for that UI to leave. Okay, here we go. A new legendary hero joins the battle, and who's that? Oh, Fated Saint.
Lost my memories and became a puppet.
It is Deirdre. Okay, that's not. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Spirit Forest Rid, Circlet of Balance. Oh, she has her own special. Beautiful curls in her hair, really gorgeous art. That art style is, it's very elegant. Very elegant, light lines. Oh, so she's gonna be... Oh, interesting. So there's gonna be a miracle component to this, of course. I wonder if her special is going to be retaliatory, in that she does a lot of damage based upon how much damage she's taken. I don't know. So we got Corin, Triandra, Faye, Thor, okay, Ash, Hugh, Galzus, Rhea, Gustav, okay, Myrrh, I see, huh, alright, so we are going to get a legendary Deirdre. That is going to be hitting on the 31st of August. And naturally, FEH users are going to be able to enjoy a spark to guarantee one of the units. Alright, so yeah, legendary Deirdre. It certainly ticks a lot of the boxes for a legendary hero. I would have expected to get one of her sooner or later, and it seems like it is going to be sooner. So, starting on the 31st of August and going for about 2 weeks. So you got a 2-week window to pull for her. It's interesting that they've expanded the... because Legendary and Mythics used to only be 1 week, right? And lately they've been expanding them to 2 weeks, interestingly enough. So I don't... There may have been like some sort of a rationale behind it. I don't really remember. But regardless, Legendary Deirdre I think is a great addition. And let's go ahead take a look at her skills to see if I think that, and take a look at the banner as a whole to see if I think this is one that is worth summoning on. And so, Legendary Deirdre, Fated Saint, is going to be an infantry blue tome unit. Really beautiful, elegant art. It has some soft line work, which I think works really well with her sort of gentle disposition. She has her signature wavy, curvy hair, although it's kind of splayed out or fanned out behind her in a, I guess, a more grandiose way. This is, of course, the legendary version of her, right? Magical sparkles abound, gives her almost this, like, fairy godmother feel to the overall art, which I think is pretty appropriate. Soft shading and lines are just very comforting overall, and certainly match, I think, not only her disposition, which is gentle in nature, but also her outfit just feels very soft and comfy. Like the cloak around her has soft lavenders and purples with some gold trim, and it feels appropriately fluffy. And then even the pink skirt portion has some very slight frill edge, but otherwise just looks, you know, very voluminous and warm and comfortable. And yeah, she just kind of gives off that sort of motherly appeal. So really great work on the art. Alright, so let's take a closer look at her kit. Spirit Forest Rid is her weapon, blue tome, 14 might. Effective against dragons, has a killer slaying effect. If unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, inflicts attack res -6 on foe during combat. Unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack, disables foe's skills that calculate damage, so disables adaptive damage on the enemy. And also, if unit's res is greater than foe's res at the start of combat, inflicts penalty on foe's attack and res during combat equal to 80% of the difference between res stats at the start of combat. Maximum penalty -12. Okay. So pretty stacked. Effective dragon damage is always going to be helpful. Killer Slaying effect is super solid. And then condition is incredibly easy. It just has to be within 3 spaces of an ally. You'll do that by accident in most cases. And has that solid debuff, the guaranteed follow-up attack, so her speed is probably going to be middling to none, I'm guessing, much like the original Deirdre. And then disables foes' skills for adaptive damage. That's actually pretty interesting. It's an interesting addition to it. I immediately think about that in the context of Pirate Hinoka and Camilla, because they do adaptive damage and actually would be doing adaptive damage and doubling on Deirdre here. So she would actually effectively disable that on them, which is kind of interesting. And then she has a res check, so as long as her res is greater than her foes, and she's always been sort of introduced as a res monster, so I'm assuming she's going to have a monstrous res stat. It's going to be at the start of combat, which does mean that the check happens before any in-combat boosts and buffs. So it's whatever her raw res is, including activated buffs. And as long as it's greater, she has a penalty on foe equal to 80% of the difference, which is a maximum penalty of -12, which is quite sizable. The difference between the opponent's res and yours, and that essentially means that you're just going to do that much more damage against the enemy and nullify, sort of make them even more ineffective against you, or against Deirdre in terms of attacking, because you're going to reduce their attack based upon that res stat as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a stacked weapon. Let's take a look at Circlet of Balance here. So it's a 2-turn cooldown, which means with the killer slaying effect of her weapon, it's going to be a 1-turn cooldown. Boosts special damage by 40% of units' res, okay? Alright, we already said that she is going to be a res monster. If units' HP is greater than 1, foe would reduce units' HP to 0, and both following conditions apply. Unit survives with 1 HP. If unit or foe special is ready, or unit or foe special triggered during this combat. Unit initiates combat or foe's range equal to 2 once per map, considered a non-special effect. It's considered a non-special effect? Does not stack with other non-special effects that allow units to survive with 1 HP if foe's attack would reduce HP to 0. So it's... Okay. So it's actually not part of the special proc then, if I'm reading that right. So the miracle effect is just completely separate. It kind of like just sits on the special, but it's not actually affected by the actual special activation. It seems like it's just like the 40% of units res special damage is essentially what the cooldown is based upon. But then if I'm reading it right, again, there's a lot to digest here. So, okay, so the condition for the miracle is unit or foe's special is ready, or that it triggers during the combat. So either they go into combat with their special charged, or it gets charged in the middle of battle. That makes sense. What's very unusual to me is that it's not just her special, it's her foe's special. That's very strange. That means that if her Circlet of Balance is still at a 1-turn cooldown, or, for whatever reason, it was not ready and was not going to be ready in combat, which, again, that doesn't make a ton of sense because it's going to be a 1-turn cooldown. I mean, I guess if there's a guard effect on her, what have you, even if her special is not ready, if her foe's special is ready, that does meet the first condition. That's so bizarre to me. Okay. And then unit initiates combat, or foe's range is equal to 2. So the only time, it's kind of better to think about it in the context of situations where this doesn't apply. It would be in instances where an enemy is attacking into you in melee range. That's the only situation and scenario where the second condition is not met. It's where an enemy is attacking into you in melee range. All other instances where she's attacking into an enemy, whether they're ranged or melee, or if she's being attacked by a ranged foe, that is going to meet that condition for the second piece of things. So that's really fascinating to me because, again, it doesn't count as it's a non-special effect, even though it's on her special. But that also means that she can't stack it with like Miracle because it is built into the special. So it's kind of unusual in that way. It does prevent her from stacking different miracles and miracle effects but it doesn't count as a non-special effect, which would circumvent, I think, certain abilities that kind of negate a special miracle effect, I guess. I don't know. I kind of want to mull that over. It feels a little convoluted, but the reality is that 40% of units res at a one-turn cooldown effectively on this unit is going to be very, very powerful. And then that notwithstanding, you have this, huge boon of having a miracle effect as well. So that she's definitely going to enjoy that. Stillwater 4 grants attack res +7 and inflicts defense -5, so defense is going to be her throwaway stat probably anyway, based upon past iterations, so I would think speed and defense, she's probably going to be a little middling in those stats, but again, very, very heavy, probably in the attack and the res. Attack res tempo 3, inflicts attack res -3 on foe and neutralizes effects that grant special cooldown charge +X to foe or inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat. Very interesting, there's no condition at all to this. This is just something that exists and it's quite strong. I'm guessing this is going to be an infantry only B-slot skill. Kind of reads like one. So it's effectively infantry's version of like a lull skill, right? Because it has it has the in-combat debuff on the B slot, but also an added effect, and infantry tend to have those abilities that manipulate special charge a lot, so that it does kind of play into it being an infantry-based skill. Quite strong. I mean, that's very strong. That essentially sets everything back to 0 as far as abilities that would either manipulate the special charge on both sides, and then that in-combat debuff on the B slot is going to be quite useful for her. Attack res menace, start of turn, if unit is within 4 space of a foe, inflicts attack res -6 on nearest foes through their next actions, and attack res +6 to unit for 1 turn. Menace skills are quite strong. They do require some proper positioning, but they can certainly pack a wallop when they are used appropriately. So overall, she is going to hit extremely hard. She is going to double, and she's going to be pretty hard to kill because she's going to have that miracle effect as well. Not only that, the miracle effect is very unusual in its condition, and I'm still kind of sort of waffling on exactly how that'll play into things outside of normal miracle shenanigans. But again, it doesn't seem as though guard would affect her if the enemy has a special charge ready and is going to be using that on her. She will survive. But as it currently stands, I mean, it does seem like she probably will be able to get doubled on the regular, and it does look like she is going to be pretty weak to melee attacks, which would make a lot of sense, right? So overall, I think, honestly, she feels powerful, but pretty balanced and manageable with a lot of key strengths that I think you would expect a unit like this to have, playing off of her strengths, which is her res. You have a lot of play off of that and ways to increase her res overall. So I think she's solid. She's not groundbreaking, I think, by any stretch, unless I'm missing something with that special. I'm sure people in the comments will tell me if I'm being an idiot and missing something with the special. But otherwise, I think she's going to be powerful. I think she's going to be useful, but not broken. Not broken. All right, so I am curious to see this interaction here because I want to see Circlet of the Circlet in action here. So she attacks in, right? And she charges her special here, I guess. Yeah, she sure does. Oh, she just like kills him straight up. Okay. So she doesn't have her special active, but the Bow Cavalier does. And they activate Draconic Aura, and she survives. So yeah, so she gained her special charge during that attack. She didn't have it. So that's so interesting. So it is like, yeah, that's so interesting. And what's even more interesting is that it's kind of like Sigurd, which is appropriate because Sigurd also has effects on his special that aren't like innately part of the special activation, which is, again, very unusual. But it's kind of funny that both of them have something like that because it's very unusual, yeah. But yeah, so we're looking at here Galzus, Rhea, what else we got here? Hugh. I mean, red looks kind of horrible, I have to say. Let's take a look at the colors here. We may as well start with red, right? Let's start with red here. So red has Seliph, Galzus, and Hugh. I would not recommend summoning on red. Galzus and Hugh are obviously not limited in any capacity. Legendary Seliph is great. He's good, but doesn't carry that color, and I think that even if you really did want him, you could wait for a future banner with Legendary Self that would have better offerings for the color sharing there. So alongside Deirdre in blue is ironically going to be 2 dragons, so that's Myr and Fae, both legendary versions. That is going to be a stacked color. Also, interestingly enough, that Fae has that whole miracle gimmick as well, so it's like a very kind of like similar mindset type of color. All 3 of them are quite good, and all 3 of them are quite potent, and again, it's just kind of interesting how it played out there. So quite a strong color, I think, on the banner. So colorless is going to be Ashe, Fallen Rhea, and Corrin. Legendary Corrin. That's a pretty good color. It kind of pains me because I like all 3 of these units, actually, but it's the circumstances, really, that kind of bring the color down. Everybody has Ashe. Rhea is not limited. She is in the regular pool, and Corrin is on the older side. That being said, I still think it's above red, just not like a ton above red on that basis. And then you've got green. So green has Triandra, Fallen Gustav, and Thor. That's very good. Thor was part of the all-green banner, and she's very, very strong. Triandra is a great flying dancer. Gustav is also quite a powerhouse, and all 3 of them make up a great banner. 2 of them limited, 1 in the common pool, but also quite potent and powerful. Green is probably the second best color in the batch, so I would say that blue is definitely far and away the best color overall. Green under that, then a bit further down, colorless, and then below that would be red. That's my own kind of personal assessment of the availability of heroes on this specific banner. So once again, Legendary Deirdre Fated Saint banner is starting on the 31st of August, the end of August, until the 13th of September, so 2 weeks to pull for her. Me personally, I'm probably going to do the first circle and dip. There's not really a unit that I'm missing on this banner that I'm willing to go up to the Spark for, I don't think, at least at this juncture. But let me know in the comments below if you're excited for Legendary Deirdre, if you're excited for the units on this banner, and if you are, who you're going to be summoning for, what colors you're going to be summoning for. I wish you the best of luck. Hope you get all of the units that you want and all of the copies that you need. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching, for taking time out of your day to spend with us. We really do appreciate it. And until next time, let's protect those skies.